Pastor Taylor here, coming to you from Christ Lutheran Church. In the name of Jesus, dear friends, sexual purity is a blessing. And that blessing is to be kept pure until the day that we have the opportunity to enjoy the blessing of sex within marriage. Joseph knew that. The Old Testament man of God knew that. He knew the blessing of sex and how that blessing was meant for one man and one woman within the bonds of marriage. And yet no one would have known. I doubt many people would have found out. Perhaps Joseph's sinful flesh tried to convince him that when Potiphar's wife continued to make advances. But Joseph refused. Joseph knew that he could have gotten away with it, but he knew that sex with someone outside the bonds of marriage was a sin against God, and finally, God would know. Friends, I know that our sinful flesh tries to convince us that what we do privately with our own time is noticed by no one, except us, of course. We do things privately, perhaps on our phones, or on our computers. And our sinful flesh has convinced us that no one knows what we do with our eyes. No one knows what we think about or the lust that we have in our minds. But Joseph teaches us something that we already knew. Well, God knows. God knows. We know that that is true, that God knows and God sees, whether that happens in a bedroom with someone who is not our spouse, or privately with a phone screen, or secretly with our imaginations. God knows. God knows, and we know that that is a sin. That's not the sexual purity that God intended when He gave us the blessed gift of sex. God forgive us for the times we have succumbed to that temptation. And by God's grace, He has. All the times we have been sexually impure, well, those sins are paid for in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And that love of Jesus Christ empowers us to live godly lives with all of His blessings, which includes the blessing of sexual purity and happiness. A lesson from Genesis chapter 39, beginning at the 6th verse. Now Joseph was well built and handsome, and after a while his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, "Come to bed with me." But he refused. With me in charge, he told her, "My master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything he owns he has entrusted to my care. No one is greater in this house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you're his wife. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. The word of the Lord.